Blog Talk Radio.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. A little audio issue there. Of course, it had to happen on the last day of the show of 2018. Welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and we've got a great show for you today. I'm going to introduce my very special guest, Brett Cohen, here officially in just a few moments. He's going to be helping me close out the 2018 Golf Talk Live season here with a great show, and then I'm going to give a special thanks to many of the people that have been on the show this past season. A special thank you at the end of the broadcast, and then I will close out for my last official show here of 2018. So thank you for joining us. And let me just remind everybody, of course, we are live every Thursday evenings, normally from 6 to 8 p.m. Central or 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But we're going to have a little shorter show tonight since there is not going to be a Coach's Corner panel. The panel was on last week, and that was the last Coach's Corner panel for the season, and they won't be starting up again until next year, and I'll give you all that information a little bit later on towards the end of the broadcast. But thanks for those of you joining us on this last broadcast, and again, the best way to follow is to go to blogtalkradio.com, and up in the search key, just type Golf Talk Live or add a / Golf Talk Live onto that link, and that will take you to the main page, and you can listen live during the regular broadcasts on Thursday evenings. For some reason, if you can't join us live, you can just scroll down that same link and just check out the on-demand section, and that's where all of the shows, including tonight's, will be in their entirety. Of course, all of the programs are auto-recorded, so if you can't tune in live, go to the on-demand section anytime when it's convenient for you, and you can listen to the program. Some other great ways as well is you can check out the show at iTunes.com, Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and TalkStreamLive.com. And I'll tell you at the end of the show another great way that you can tune in as well. I mean, there's lots of great ways to connect with Golf Talk Live, but I'll tell you another one at the end of the broadcast as well. As I said, I've got a great guest coming on here in just a moment, but I want to give a special thank you and another plug, if you will, for a sponsor that came on a little bit later in the season, around October. And I'm talking, of course, about the good people at golfswing.com. They've come on board this year to sponsor the Coach's Corner panel segment, which normally precedes my special guest interviews. But as I said, tonight we're not going to have one. They'll come back on in the next year, and I'll give you, again, the dates now. But I want to just thank golfswing.com for sponsoring the Coach's Corner panel segment on Golf Talk Live. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Then I'll bring Brett out after I introduce him officially, and then we'll get into tonight's discussion. Golfswing.com, with its cutting-edge technology, have teamed up alongside some of the best golf instructors, coaches, and swing gurus in the business. Together, they have created one of the best video teaching and training online platforms in golf. So if you're ready to break 100, 90, 80, or even 70, then join their online video academy and learn from some of the best. In addition to sponsoring the Coach's Corner segment, every week I'll post a different golf instructional video tip, featuring another great top instructor from golfswing.com, and I'll do that tonight as well after this broadcast. So join golfswing.com and watch, practice, and improve your game. And again, a special thank you to golfswing.com for coming on board this year. As I mentioned, my good friend and special guest tonight, Brett Cohen, is a golf fitness instructor and Fitness Over 50 authority. He's also the founder of NY Golf Fitness Guru. He's been involved in the fitness industry for over 17 years, specializing in working with golfers and individuals over 50, and is the only trainer in New York to hold 2 golf fitness certifications, Titleist Performance Institute, or TPI, and Czech Institute, as well as 2 fitness certifications specializing in the mature population. Functional Aging Institute, and National Academy of Sports Medicine. Also, he's a senior fitness specialist. So please help me welcome my very special guest tonight, Brett Cohen. Brett, good evening.
Good evening, Ted. How are you? Good to be on the show again.
Well, I couldn't think of a better way to end the segment than having a golf fitness instructor on, so we can get everybody ready for the new year. There's going to be a lot of those couch potatoes are going to be coming up, especially with the holidays coming in. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. But I know we've got a lot of other things, so let's get right down to it. Now, you went back in, I think it was around October, if I'm not mistaken. You attended the 2018 World Golf Fitness Summit, and you wanted to come back and share a little bit with the audience some of the things that you learned while you're there. But I think for just the benefit of the listeners that may not understand what that is, what exactly is the WGFS?
Yes, I wanted to do a little summit summary. I know we had a show scheduled. I think it was for late October or November. We had to postpone. So we're a little late in catching up, but nonetheless, I'm going to help the audience learn a little bit about what the World Golf Fitness Summit is. It is a biennial gathering of the world's elite golf, fitness, and medical professionals that come together to discuss the latest research and practical application of what I would call the art and science of fitness nutrition, as well as technology, and how all that can be applied to improving golf performance. That's ultimately what we're there for, to help our golfers play golf better. This was my second World Golf Fitness Summit, my first being in New Orleans in 2016. First time at a summit, first time in New Orleans, so it was an amazing experience. This year, there were over 600 attendees from across the globe. It truly is a World Golf Fitness Summit. Lots of people from Europe and Asia attend, as well as most of the states throughout the United States, and we came to Orlando, Florida to participate. We're right in your backyard.
Wow.
It's really an amazing opportunity for anyone in the golf, health, and fitness industry to learn from the industry's best and interact face-to-face with some of the coaches that are training and healing the world's best golfers. We had a theme this year, yards and years, which I think every golfer can appreciate, wanting to hit the ball further and have longevity in the game. So everything that was spoken about or demonstrated kind of pointed arrows at those main topics, yards and years.
Wow. And you mentioned, I just want to go back very quickly just to touch on something that you mentioned. You said that there are a lot of, obviously over 600 individuals that attended from across the globe. It's not just golf fitness instructors, but there were some other professionals as well. Just maybe touch on a little bit at some of the different categories, I guess, of people that showed up.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the TPI model, what I think Titleist does very well, and this is something I'll talk about probably a little later in the show related to another topic, is help to educate anyone in the industry that works with golfers. So that would not just be fitness professionals, but medical professionals, as well as golf instructors like yourself. So in a level one seminar, all three of those groups come together to learn the basic topic, philosophy, and assessment protocols that the Titleist Institute offers. So those same three groups are attending an event like this. I got to interact with fitness colleagues as well as medical professionals that I've been connected to through Facebook and Instagram that live over in Europe I had never met. It was an incredible experience to get to eat dinner with people that you've only seen on social media. So It's really a special event, and we all wish it would last longer and maybe have it more often, but it's just every 2 years. And you get there, it's Friday through Sunday afternoon. You get there late Thursday night, and the next thing you know, you're packing to leave. 12 to 15-hour days. It just flies right by.
Yeah, and I know that you had a lot of stuff going on there, and you mentioned already the theme of the summit this year was yards and years. We'll let you touch a little bit more about that. But as you said, it was you had obviously some lectures and classes that you participated in over the 3 days, and I know you want to cover some of the topics and the themes there. So why don't you start us off with the first one?
Well, there's a lot to do. So as you would expect, there are lectures, but there's also what we call breakouts, which are physical participation classes. And on the mornings, before breakfast and before the main stage is taken, we have the opportunity to do usually a physical workout. So one of those this year was a class known as ELDOA. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's an acronym in French, and I don't know exactly what it stands for. But so there was an ELDOA session, early morning session with Dan Hellman. Dan is a physical therapist in the Miami area, and he teaches ELDOA for its originator or creator, I should say, a world-renowned osteopath named Guy Voyer. And it's basically a system of movement that's designed to decompress targeted joint by using specific postures. So this is the second time I got to participate in Dan's class. I did it in New Orleans as well, and it's very powerful. It's becoming more and more popular in the golf world and the golf fitness world. I hear through the grapevine some professionals are using that system to help them with longevity and preserve their spines for the future. So we also get to choose between 3 lectures that are going on at any one time. And one of the hands-on that I did throughout one of the days, I forget if it was the first or second day, was a very special breakout with Dr. Greg Rose, who's one of the co-founders of the Timeless Performance Institute, and Randy Myers. And for those who don't know who Randy Myers is, he's a pretty special guy in the golf fitness world. He's director of fitness for Sea Island Resorts in Georgia. He's been in the industry for quite a long time. Do you happen to know who he is, by any chance?
I'm
No?
not familiar with him personally, but I have a general idea, sure.
Yeah. He just released a book called Fit for Golf, Fit for Life, and I was fortunate to get him to sign a copy for me. Really nice man. He's also known for inventing what's known as the golf stretch pole, which is something a lot of golfers may be familiar with. Great tool to have in your bag. So the lecture was focused on improving mobility. And for those who don't know the difference between flexibility and mobility, we're going to talk about mobility as a range of motion you can produce and control on your own. So it's very much golf related. You need to be able to control your joints while standing and moving from one position to another in the golf swing. Basically, you need to own it to use it. And we worked on mobility in the key areas we need it, the key areas that most amateur golfers are lacking mobility, and then professionals need to maintain in the hips, thoracic spine, as well as the shoulders. And we went over some of the causes of mobility problems and some of the solutions. So that was a great breakout. Probably 60, 80, 100 people in the room, all down on the ground going through these exercises with Dr. Rose and Randy Myers. A lot of fun. You also have the opportunity to interact with sponsors. You just brought up one of the sponsors for your show, but there are a lot of sponsors for the golf fitness industry and the Titleist Performance Institute, and we have a products and services hall. And in there we have K-Vest, which is the creator of K-Coach and K-Player, Light Fitness, supplier of functional training equipment for golf clubs and gyms all around the country. Body Track, probably familiar with that tool, something that I now have myself, and learning how to use, very important tool in the golf fitness industry these days. Super Speed clubs, you want to swing faster, you got to be swinging these clubs. I think, I don't know the percentage, but it's very, very high within the last 2 or 3 years how many PGA and LPGA players are using a Super Speed club protocol and increasing their club head speed. Perform Better, which is an equipment company, functional training equipment company, as well as education company was there. Hyper Ice and Rad Roller, both companies who produce awesome self-myofascial release tools, something that you and I have discussed on the show, and we've talked about some of the strategies to help improve mobility. So there's a lot to take in a short period of time. You're trying to get from lecture hall to participation room to the presentation hall where the sponsors are and check out the equipment and basically learn, how those products and services can help take your athlete to the next level. So we're busy, but it's a great time.
Yeah, well, and it really kind of mimics what they have down at the PGA merchandising show, but for the fitness side of things, it's a little bit more specialized, if you will. It kind of sounds to me. Obviously, there's more lectures and classes and things like that, but I kind of get the impression, because obviously you have, as you said, some sponsors and you've got some products there and things that are tools of the trade on the fitness side of things that you guys are exposed to or re-exposed, depending on how many times you've been there before. So it's a great opportunity to see what some of the greatest technology out there. Sure.
Yeah, and I've never been to a PGA show. Of course, I know about them, and I will attend at some time in the future. But I do know that a lot of these companies I just mentioned, certainly BodyTrack, Superspeed, K-Vest, Red Roller, they're all going to be at the PGA show, and that's coming up in January, I think. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Usually it's January every year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Also in Orlando, I believe, right?
It's correct. Yeah. It's coming up in actually just about a month.
Yeah. Are you going to be there?
Probably not this year. I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity. I wanted to go, but I got too many things going on for next season. But there's always a lot of great things to see, and I definitely wish I could. But I'll make it back there if not this year, next year for sure. But
all right, maybe I'll see you there next year too.
That sounds good. Yeah, definitely. It's a great time down there. A lot of things coming out in the golf industry, as I said. So I know that, again, we're not going to be able to cover everything tonight because there was just a lot going on at the World Golf Fitness Summit. But let's talk about some of the topics and some of the themes that you wanted to cover tonight.
Sure. Yeah, so one of the biggest presentations early on in the summit was one that talked about building a team, or the team approach, and that was a presentation that was kind of a joint presentation by Dave Phillips, another TPI co-founder, along with Dr. Rose, Mark Blackburn, who's a tour coach, as well as having his own facility down in Alabama, and Claude Harmon III, all renowned teaching professionals. So, great minds up on stage, and a lot of what we call knowledge bombs coming from them. But the basic theme was, how can we, as professionals in the fitness world, the medical world, and what you do in the teaching world, come together to help our golfers, stay in the game longer and enjoy the game without injury. So it's kind of like we're battling against not the people in the room, because we all are of the same mindset, but the people who aren't in the room may still have that mindset or mentality that fitness really isn't a part of golf. It's been that way for a long, long time. And I think, thankfully, in large part due to the efforts of TPI, as well as what the average golfer sees tour players doing, and being kind of up to date on the fact that they are working out and they're using these tools, that we're going to see that trend changing in the right direction in the near future. And that's what TPI and the World Golf Fitness Summit is trying to do, is to educate the medical, fitness, and teaching professionals just how important human movement and improved fitness can be to enhance the ability as well as the longevity of our golfers, So what they brought up is – go ahead, sorry.
No, please go ahead. No, go ahead.
It was just something that we've gone over before, that the first step in helping someone play golf better, regardless of whether they're an amateur or a professional, is to screen the body to see what they can and cannot do. This way you don't try to put them in a position they just can't get into. And then by identifying that limitation, you can, as a golf professional, who's kind of the catalyst of change, because you're the one who's going to be in front of the golfer most of the time, you can refer that golfer to the appropriate expert, and that can have a massive impact on their performance and durability, and help change the golf community. I know Claude Harmon had said, and this is a quote from the presentation, that if he's not on tour, he's giving golf lessons to regular everyday golfers, and if they have problems, he'll pick up the phone and just call someone. He has a Rolodex of people to call now, having being in the industry for so long and being educated by Titleist. So he'll tell his golfer, go see this person for manual therapy, go see this chiropractor, go see this therapist. And that as a golf instructor, you don't need to be an amazing physical therapist or a strength trainer, but you should and have an awareness of what your players need so that you can point that golfer in the right direction. And I think that's the real value of getting through that TPI Level 1 program I brought up earlier in the show, is that it kind of expands your horizon, extends your view of things, but it also encourages you be the expert in what you're good at, to stay in your own lane and stick to what you're good at. And this way, that's the way the team model works best, is, do what you do well and then pass the baton to someone else who's good at what they do. It's not ideal to try to take on other people's roles. Pass the baton to someone else. And the other thing is, I think a lot of average golfers know that professional golfers do have a team surrounding them. And but I think it's even more important that that strategy is applied to the average golfer. I think it has more impact on an average golfer than it will on a professional golfer. They need it even more so.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I just want to mention something for the audience listening to the show, just to sort of let them understand a little bit better what you're specifically talking about. As I think most of us know that watch the pro tours, we know that a lot of these guys out there, whether it be Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy or somebody else, they have literally a team around them. Now, they may not always be physically present at every PGA Tour event that they're at, but they have access to a lot of valuable information. And with the study and information that's come out through research in biomechanics and all these other things, as you pointed out a few moments ago, people get a better understanding of how the body reacts and moves. And having that knowledge up front before you even get on the lesson tee can be extremely valuable, because a lot of people get out there and they just start taking lessons and without really, as you said, having that initial assessment to find out what the player can actually do. And it's even more so with, as you said, with the amateur golfers, a lot of times, because they're not always in as best physical shape as maybe some of the professionals are, and don't have access to a lot of this. So they get out there and they're swinging clubs and doing things and moving their body in a way that maybe it's not either ready to move or not able to move, and ultimately injuries, arise. So it's good as a teacher professional to be able to have, as you said, that Rolodex, if you will, people that you can advise. Again, obviously, I don't want to get into the fitness side of things because that's not my expertise, but there are people that I could possibly turn to that do have that experience that I could refer a client to. So it's important to have that network. And you're exactly right. This is what a lot of the top instructors in the world that deal with, whether it be the PGA Tour or the LPGA Tour, have at their disposal. And that's something that, people might be thinking, well, yeah, but these guys make millions of dollars and they have, they can get the best of the best. Well, you can have a lot of that same information, and it doesn't really have to cost a lot of money, and it's not going to cost you millions of dollars. It's just a matter of knowing where to go and who to see at the right time. That's a very valuable point that you raise, Brett. Go ahead, continue on.
No, I completely agree. I think that there is a lot of information you could get for free, and we're going to discuss some of that in actually the next part of our interview tonight. But it's great to have coaches. It's not affordable for everyone. There are more affordable ways to go about it if you need to, but at a minimum, everyone should be moving more, regardless of whether it's guided or not, which will help them move better on the golf course, So there's lots of free information you could get. It's not always ideal if it's free, but you could still get things that will help you along if you're not able to afford coaching. So, yeah, absolutely right.
And just one more point I want to make, Brett, before we move on. Back earlier in the season, I did a segment on the Coach's Corner panel with some of my fellow teach professionals, and this was the very thing that we talked about, is the fact working together with somebody on your side of the field in the golf fitness side that we can partner with and say, okay, we're going to send our player to you or have them consult with you and get an assessment so that we have a better understanding as a teacher what this person's capabilities are. Because if we're going to have them do certain movements or have them perform certain things on the golf course, we need to know that their body can handle those movements. Otherwise, we're going to increase their opportunity for injury. And then, it's a sort of a lose-lose as opposed to a win-win. So we talked about that very thing on one of the Coaches Corner panels this year.
Okay. That's beautiful. That's exactly what it's about. You said it in a nutshell. So you're right on target.
Perfect. All right. What's next?
Another great presentation, and this is a really important topic: nutrition, secrets to increase years on and off the course, by Robert Yang. So those of you listening that don't know Robert Yang or who Robert Yang is, Robert is nutritionist, strength conditioning specialist. He teaches for the Titleist Performance Institute. He teaches the power section as well as the nutrition section. He works with golfers since, I think, 2000, players on tour since 2004, both in the LPGA and PGA. And he just wrote a book, which I'm going to recommend for every golfer listening, called Hole-in-One Nutrition, A Guide to Fueling Better Golf. It's a great book, very easy to read and digest, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of the things that he speaks about in that book. These are things that you and I have discussed on previous shows, because a lot of the concepts that he talks about I'm familiar with from the education that I have, and so he starts with what he calls his nutrition pyramid, which begins with hydration. How much did we talk about hydration on one show, right?
Right.
That is the base for health and human performance. And then above that base would be whole food nutrition, and then finally at the top, supplementation. So those are the foundation principles to follow on a daily basis, which is going to benefit you, your health, and your fitness goals, no matter what you're trying to accomplish. And we talked about in previous shows, like how much water someone should drink. It's the same principle that I spoke of. It starts with half your body weight in ounces per day, and that is a clear liquid, just water. Anything else but water, the body has to kind of filter out, and that actually takes water. So doesn't include coffee, tea, soda, juice, broth. Well, maybe broth. I'm not quite sure about broth. I have to say I'm not 100% certain about that, but so I'll have to look that one up. But and then up to 25% of that at the start of your day, because when you wake up, you are in a dehydrated state, especially after 50. You're getting up quite a few times. Anyone out there over 50 probably knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Right.
Right. And whole food, just in case you're not familiar with what whole food is, it's food that's found in nature. It's not processed. It's not in a wrapper. So if it comes in a box, bag, or a can, or it's frozen, it's probably not whole food anymore. It's something that could spoil in a few days. And that becomes a challenge for a lot of people, because we're always busy and a lot of us are traveling. Not always easy to have access to whole food and cook it, or have someone cook it for you. But that's what you're striving for, is not to eat processed foods. And then the top layer is supplementation, which is there to fill in the gaps. We're not going to get deep into supplements. That's a huge topic in and of itself. But if someone starts with proper hydration and whole foods, could turn their health around and turn their performance around on the course. For details, read his book. He is definitely more knowledgeable on the topic than I am, and he's the expert. So that's once again, it's called Hole-in-One Nutrition.
Right, Hole-in-One Golf, A Guide to Fueling Better Golf. You raised some very interesting points, and you're right. We talked about this. We talked about a lot of these different areas in the pyramid, especially obviously the hydration. You're exactly right. One of the biggest mistakes, Brett, that I see out in the golf course with a lot of people is, they don't hydrate before they play. They get out there and, the cart girl comes around and they decide, well, you know what, it's a warm, hot day out. And instead of getting something that's going to give them, fuel, like maybe a bottle of water or something, they end up saying, well, maybe I'll have a cold beer, I'll have something cold. And what they don't realize is obviously that's the worst thing that you can have, especially when, and the the more the worse. It might make you feel good for a few moments, but you're going to pay for it as you continue on in the round. And I know you talked about a lot of that and the importance of eating. So maybe just, again, I know we can't get into everything, but maybe just some very broad strokes. You've already talked about hydration and that, but just maybe some quick snacks or something that could help keep us fueled better while we're out in the golf course.
Yeah, so to stay fueled better, the first thing you want to have is breakfast. And it can be a challenge if you have an early tea time, but that just means you're going to have to schedule your sleep time the night before to have enough time to either cook breakfast on your own or go someplace where you could get a whole food breakfast. And Robert calls breakfast the most important meal of the day. It's going to help you stabilize your blood sugar levels for hours after, especially if it contains the following, what he calls PFF proteins. So an example of that, and this is kind of my go-to breakfast, a bacon and egg breakfast, avocado, cooked in coconut oil or butter, vegetable omelet with sausage if you prefer that. Something that has proteins, fats, and fiber will take longer for your body to digest and break down into sugar, which eventually all foods do, and that will help you maintain blood sugar levels for hours on end. Now, and then this next part of that formula is how are you going to maintain it on the golf course? You want to stay away from processed foods, so you're going to stay away from the hot dogs and the hamburgers and the potato chips and the Gatorade. This really means, like, optimally you have to pack your own snacks. Jerkies work well. An apple combined with the jerky, you have your protein, your fat, and your fiber. That's a suggestion that he made. Seeds and nuts. Seeds better than nuts. They have more protein per ounce and more fiber per ounce. So that's something that you could pack in a little baggie on your own. So there are ways, but they take a little bit of effort. You have to think about it. You have to plan it. If you just leave the house, pockets empty, and rely on what the golf course is offering, you're not going to have the best choices available for you.
Right. And I just want to add, Brett, that probably 2/3 of the amateur golfers out there probably just cringed when you said the last statement or two because, no hot dogs and no hamburgers and that. But, all kidding aside, I mean, we want people to have fun and enjoy their experience out at the golf course. And I know that these foods are offered at one night. A good thing, let me just very quickly add, and then we got to move on. But, a lot of the golf course are starting to be more health conscious, and they're offering some of these great alternatives that you're talking about. So, when you go to your golf course, call ahead and just find out if, or if it's a course that you play with fairly frequently, then you should know by now. But if not, save the hamburger and hot dog for another time. But, don't do that if you want to play your best golf, because you're definitely going to pay for it and in a lot of different ways, but particularly out in the golf course, it's going to zap you of energy, not give you energy. And I know you have another thing too, which is a lot of people probably don't realize this, Brett, but something else that is important as well before we move on to our next concept.
Just a few words on sleep. There were no less than 2 lectures about the importance of sleep in relation to performance and longevity. So remember, there was the theme was about performance and longevity, and so it's not just about exercise; it's about nutrition and lifestyle. Things that I'm fortunately familiar with from my nutritional lifestyle coaching background. So none of this was surprising to me, but the basic premise of one of the presentations was, well, how much sleep do we actually need? These numbers were somewhat familiar. There was a little surprise. According to a National Sleep Foundation study in 2015, it said people 18 to 25 needed 7 to 9 hours, 26 to 64 about the same, and I'm still in that category. 65 plus, I would have thought needed more, but it said 7 to 8. So it was a little bit of a surprise. But it also showed a graph that was quite shocking, which is that over the last 20 years they tracked it from 85 to 2004, our amount of sleep is diminishing greatly. And we know that insufficient disturbed sleep can affect your physical health, mental health, mortality, work production, and performance. I said most people were sleeping less, or the percentage of people who sleep less than 6 hours a night has gone up, and that will compromise your immune system, can double the risk of cancer, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, depression, anxiety, weight gain, and more and more and more. So the bottom line was the shorter your sleep or the less sleep you get, the shorter your lifespan and the worse your performance, so get more sleep. A lot of my clients struggle with this. There are some basic principles. I'm going to just highlight a few. They are really change of habits. One, you don't want exposure to light too late in the day because light stimulates the awakening hormones. No television to go to sleep, and that's a habit I know a lot of people have. They think it puts them to sleep, but actually the light in the room will help keep you up or get you up and disturb your sleep cycles. Limit caffeine prior to 3 o'clock in the afternoon because it's going to stay in your bloodstream for up to 8 hours after you had it. And sugar and alcohol before bed is a no-no because that's going to spike your blood sugars, and then you wind up waking up in the middle of the night restless and anxious. So this is just a couple of tips. There's a lot more. It's really a change of lifestyle habits to get more sleep. Really important for your health and performance.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Brett, that you bring up about that. You know, I've fortunate. I have no problem with sleeping. It's the waking up sometimes that sometimes can be hard to do, but at least at this age. But you're exactly right. Getting a good night's rest does a lot of things, and I think, you know, I'm sure if they were to continue on that same study, I'm sure that they'd find in today's generation with so much technology out there, we're all, you know, for the most part working on computers a lot, and you know, you get so wound up with your thought process that a lot of times it's hard to shut down at night. So sometimes just a little meditation and just, you know, sort of winding down for the day is crucial to getting that well rest that we need. Okay, so what's next?
What else is new and exciting? So great presentation by Dr. Rose, which he called the Power Hall of Fame or Power Hall of Fame Power Principles, I should say. And there were 3 principles that he highlighted. One was follow the power, and that is the mobility sequence. So we know that the body needs to have adequate mobility in the ankles, hips, T-spine or thoracic spine, and the shoulders. Those segments require mobility in order to create elastic energy, and the segments in between those joints need to be stable. That's what allows a golfer to create more torque by disassociating one part of their body from another. So if you want to increase your power, you're going to need to start with improving your mobility and stability in the places that they need it. The second was push the ground. So a phrase that I have in an article I'm going to be putting together, which is called vertical thrust is a must, right? So if you want more power, you have to apply more force into the ground. And we can measure that force with the body track mat. It tells us exactly how much force we're putting into the ground and where, and you use that feedback to help change a golf swing right there within a lesson. So very valuable for you as a golf instructor. For me, I'm going to be using it in the gym to improve movement patterns that are going to be transferable to the golf swing. And then the third really interesting concept is train explosive to play explosive. And what does that mean? Well, I'm going to share a quote with you from a very famous strength conditioning coach that your audience may or may not be familiar with, but his name is Al Vermeil. And Al is retired now, but he's the only strength coach who has ever worked in the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball, and the only strength coach to have won world championship rings from NFL and NBA. The NFL was the San Francisco 49ers, and the NBA was the Chicago Bulls. So he's a legend in this industry, and he said, if you're not going to train explosively and you're training them, meaning golfers, for an explosive sport, which golf is, you're training them to get hurt and you're training them to have poor performance. So what that is a summation of is what's known as the SAID principle in fitness, specific adaptations to imposed demands. And if you want a golfer to be more explosive, you have to do things that are explosive. Otherwise, you're not going to see performance enhancement. If you want them, they're going to come to you and say, well, I want more power, I want more distance. Well, what are you doing to get that?
Yeah.
And those are the three main principles to look at. It's a little deeper than that. We know that
Sure.
Power comes from a combination of strength and speed, and we need mobility to create elasticity. So it goes much deeper. But essentially, at some point, you need to train fast to be fast.
Yeah, and let me just add a couple of points very quickly to that, and then we'll move on. What a lot of golfers don't understand, obviously, I think the mobility in that a lot of people feel is self-explanatory, but obviously flexibility comes into that as well. And people might not understand what it means by pushing the ground, but Jack Nicklaus talked about that in a slightly different way. He didn't use that exact terminology, but in his video that was done many years ago called Golf My Way, and he talked about really how the golf swing is from the ground up, not from up to the ground, and or the other way around rather. And what he really meant by that is that sort of pushing off, if you will. And if you ever watch, and this is a great test for a lot of amateur golfers out there, is and I'm not saying this for the purpose of mimicking anybody's swing, but if you go online and I'm sure there's thousands and thousands of them, but a video of a top professional, and you watch their swing in slow motion, as they start their transition from their backswing down, you will see them almost like as though they're going into a sitting position. And what they're doing is, after they've loaded up their muscles in coil in the backswing, they're now actually using the ground to push off as they transition into the follow-through. And their body will actually, it won't be a lot, it won't look like a lot, but their lower body is actually pushing off of the ground, and as they transition into the follow-through. And that's really what that means. And there's a proper way of doing it. Obviously, there's a sequence involved. But if you look at their swing, you'll actually see it. You can't see it in quick motion, but you can see it in slow motion. And just to quickly touch on the train explosively, to play explosively, you're exactly right. The swing speed sticks and a lot of the other products that are out there in the market are designed specifically for that, is to help you with clubhead speed. And that specific training, I know when I played hockey years ago, I mean, we didn't just sort of leisurely skate around the ice to get better. We actually did sprints on the ice, short sprints, and that was to build our speed. Because when you're out chasing after that puck, it's not just a matter of going from one end of the ice to the other. You might have to explode quickly in order to deflect a player's shot, or to steal the puck, whatever it is that you want to do. Golf is the same way. Is you've got to have that explosiveness if you want to be able to create speed and distance. And without that, then you're not going to get that. So that's a great. Those are some great principles for golfers. And as you said, that they can get more information than that. But that's just to give them a general idea of how to apply it. The next one, I think I fall in quite nicely, Brett. I think the next discussion.
Yeah. Well, that makes two of us. I think I'm older than you are. So the next discussion was kind of dear to my heart. I want to become more of an expert in this category, and that is of the aging golfer. There were no less than 3 presentations to the aging golfer. So just a couple of bullet points that I found more fascinating. As you know, golf is kind of unique in that it's not limited by age. In fact, I know, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, well, I'll take up golf when I retire, as if it's an easy sport. To the contrary, we know it involves lots of physical skills that most people who retire no longer have. The average golfer has an ARP card, right? So I don't know what the exact age is, but I would think it's probably over 50. Your average golfer is probably a male over age 50. It can be played throughout lifespan, and as long as we stay healthy, which was why we were here at this event, is to learn some of the strategies to keep golfers healthy. And one of the things that attracts older people to golf, and I found this fascinating, which is another way to stay healthy, which was the fact that we know through studies of aging populations that if they have regular social interaction that keeps us feeling connected, they tend to live longer. And golf allows that to happen. So it's a sport that, people want to stay in as long as possible if it allows them to feel connected. Another statistic, not a surprise, studying through the Functional Aging Institute, but the aging population by 2030, which is just 11 years away, right? All baby boomers, those of us born between 46 and 64, will be 65 or older.
Yep.
So a lot of older adults on the planet in 2030. And it was brought up, well, is the golf fitness world prepared to meet the demands of the older golfer at the golf course, at the gym, and in the medical practice? And personally, I don't think so. I think they have not paid attention to them for a very long time. Most marketing by companies is still to younger audiences. I think it's rather foolish because the population is aging and those are people with discretionary income. But I'm going to be prepared. So if anybody needs help, they can reach out to me. So how do we keep an older golfer safe and optimized for the fairway and for life? Well, it just so happened it was some of the things you and I have already discussed. We know that as you age, strength and power that the body produces decreases due to weakening muscular system, neuromuscular system. We have something called sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. We've discussed these numbers, but I'll bring them back up again. 40 to 50% decrease in muscle mass between 25, which is when you top out, and 80. And from the studies I've read, it's a 5% loss in muscle mass from 40 through 70 per decade, so every decade from 40 to 70, and then it increases to 15% from 70 to 80. And working with older adults, I could see, and my own dad who's just turned 79, a vast difference in what a 65-year-old male looks like compared to a 75-year-old male, especially if they're non-exercisers, right? So we know that older men or men over 50 need, women as well, this goes for women as well, need resistance training programs to help maintain muscle mass and power output and to protect the bones from falling, et cetera, et cetera. Aging is going to have a huge impact on our ability to balance, which becomes compromised. Our vision gets poor, our hearing gets poor, our sense of where we are in space starts to diminish. So all those things can be slowed down with training. If you don't use it, you'll lose it, right? So sadly, we see most older adults, this is really all adults, but more common in older adults, because they're older, they think, well, now I can move less because it's expected of me not to have to move, when in actuality, we want them to move more. Not rather than seeing a decrease in activity levels, you want to have an increase in activity levels, especially if you're retired and you have more time on your hands. You need to have a step-by-step process in place that's going to help you maintain and regain some of the mobility, strength, and power that you're going to lose just to the normal aging process.
Right. And you touched on a few things I just want to mention as well, because obviously I'm in that category. I'm going to be hitting the 55 mark in March of next year. So when that 11 years, fast forward to 2030, I'm going to be 65. So you're exactly right. Brett, this is something that a lot of people don't realize. And something else that I want to point out too, I had another guest on the show I'm sure you're probably familiar with, Catherine Roberts, who is
I do know Catherine.
Also and she is founder of Yoga for Golfers. And she talked about something that I didn't even realize. This was about a year ago that she talked about this on the show, and I've mentioned it actually a few times since. I'm going to mention it one more time. And it's not about the yoga. Obviously, that's a great thing as well. But something that as people age, that they lose certain sensations. And one of the things that she does with a lot of her students that she works with, especially older clients and that, is she'll actually have them remove their shoes and their socks and walk on the ground. And the reason why she does that, she says, as we age, we start to lose that sensation in the bottoms of our feet, our nerves and that change. And it's not just, and one of the misnomers, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the physical, the body mass and the muscle loss certainly adds to this, but something else as well is the nerve endings in the bottom of your feet start to deteriorate and decrease a little bit. So what you often will see, Brett, is you'll see an aging adult, not just golfer, but anybody, and they kind of have a waddle. They walk sort of side to side. The reason being is they can't feel as they once did the bottom of their feet. And especially as we start to get really old, you'll see a lot of elderly people are very, very uncomfortable when they walk. You'll see them actually, it's not a matter of pain, it's a matter of they're very unsteady on their feet. And it's because they cannot feel the ground beneath their feet. So she does exercises with them barefoot on the grass so they can feel that sensation and feel what the ground is like a little better than if they had shoes on. And this is obviously to help people to understand. And you talked about some things at the very beginning of the conversation. There's obviously things like yoga as well, Tai Chi, other martial arts as well that cause movement in the body to help feel those sensations that I'm talking about. And these are things that anybody can do. And I want to tell you something. I got to be honest with you. About a year ago, I went down. I haven't been there for a while, but I drove through. And if you're familiar with the villages down in Central Florida, you want to see some active adults. You need to head down there because I'm going to tell you, it's a minimum 55 plus age group there, and it's an adult living community, and it's huge. I mean, if you've ever been there, or if you haven't been there, for those listening,
no, I haven't.
And
no,
there's some of the most, there's some of the most active seniors I've ever seen, or adults, and they're doing exactly what you're talking about here, is getting out and moving on a continual basis, playing golf, and obviously doing other activities, and that's important. But I wanted to mention that Catherine brought to my attention because I didn't realize that. I never always thought it was because of the muscles and things like that why a lot of seniors kind of walk. And she said that's not entirely true. That studies have shown that it's because of the nerves in the bottoms of their feet will also cause that as well. So I just wanted to mention that to people. So next time you're at home somewhere, hopefully not up in a cold northeast, but walk around even on your carpet with your bare feet, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
Catherine's absolutely right. These are things I was aware of, but she probably put it more succinctly. I know that the skin on the bottom of your feet has lots of receptors, or what we would call proprioceptors. It feeds the brain information about where the body is in space. So your foot and your ankle give a lot of information, or are supposed to give a lot of information to your brain about where you are, which translates into improved balance. So if you wear shoes, which all of us do, and we have been since we learned to walk as basically infants, that ability, that feedback loop diminishes, and hardly anyone works on their feet anymore. That is starting to change in this industry as well, thanks to the efforts of someone like Catherine and a New York podiatrist named Emily Splichel, who has created her own program called Barefoot Strong, and she's created a new technology called the BOSO, which is mats and inserts for your shoes that are designed to stimulate the receptors on the bottom of your feet and can alter gait patterns. So it's kind of like walking barefoot, but without having to walk barefoot. And I purchased one of those mats to practice here at home. You could use it as a standing mat, or there's an exercise mat. So there's a movement towards improving foot health as a way to maintain function and fitness. So she's absolutely right. Be as barefoot. Be as barefoot or barefoot as often as possible would be my advice, as long as you're in a safe environment.
Right, exactly. And just one other last thing, and then I'll let you move on to the next discussion. But, again, as we age, you will see this. If you've been out to a mall or anything like that, you'll see a lot of seniors, they'll sort of shuffle their feet. And that's mainly why. It's because they don't have a good solid, or they don't feel like they have a good solid foundation. So that's their way of dealing with that, and some of these things that you just mentioned are a great way to help overcome that. So just some food for thought, and again, it does affect the balance, and obviously if you want to play some good golf, balance is a key fundamental to have. So now you had a keynote presentation at the show as well that you were at. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I didn't give it. My coach, Jason Glass, gave the keynote presentation. That would be a fantasy for me one day, maybe. For him, I know it was as well. For those who are not familiar with Jason Glass, Jason is one of the instructors for TPI. I know him for, I think, 6 years now. He trains professional athletes in soccer, football, hockey, snowboarding, and, of course, golf, basically any rotational power sport. Famous golfer that he's worked with for 7 years, a Canadian professional named Adam Hadwin. He's his coach. Jason also has his own podcast, which I think is going on the third year or so. I forget for sure, but I've been listening to it for at least two, known as the Coach Glass podcast. And he sometimes does that show alone, but he also has industry, experts as guests, those people that we're mentioning here in this podcast. And those of us who listen are affectionately known as glisteners. Listeners to Coach Glass are glisteners. I'm one of them. So Jason also happens to be a powerful motivator, and he didn't disappoint in this presentation. He kind of brought the house down. He has a unique brand of what he calls edutainment. In fact, he does comedy on the side, so he's not shy in front of an audience. His combines education and entertainment at the same time. And this keynote was kind of like a Broadway production. He had live video chats over Skype, audience participation with some of his colleagues, live exercise demonstrations on the stage, and, of course, an element of education. So it was really cool. It was very unique. He had guys playing security guards that walked him down the aisle and simulcasting, and it was quite a sight to see. But essentially, the meat and potatoes of the presentation was to challenge the status quo, in this is my interpretation of it anyway, in strength conditioning, that we're taught there are certain things we should or should not do, or positions we should or should not put an athlete in that may be considered unsafe in the gym. And he's challenging that. He thinks that if we condition our athletes properly, that we could get them these positions that were often thought of as dangerous, and that could actually be the difference between being world-class or being just an ordinary athlete. So it was a special moment for him. He prepared for 8 months for this 45-minute presentation. And I was very happy to be there and proud of him. I find him to be a mentor to me, and it was just awesome. I think some of it is already on his YouTube channel. It's just a small piece. But eventually, I think all of it will be, and if you get an opportunity, entertain yourself and educate yourself and find it on YouTube and have a listen. You won't be disappointed. So that kind of wraps up the summit. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely will do that. Thank you for bringing that. And I know that you had a good time down there. I remember you were before you actually went, you were quite excited about it. We had you on a show before that, and you were quite excited and anticipated, and obviously it didn't disappoint. So, the truth of the matter is, Brett, that, when you go to something like this, you go with an open mind, and you have a certain amount of knowledge of your own that you take with it, but you always come away, or you hope to come away with a newfound knowledge or some other things that not only reaffirm what you already know, but also give you pause to think of other things that maybe you weren't familiar with, and that helps to make you a better and well-rounded fitness instructor, whether you're a golf fitness instructor or just any sort of fitness instructor. And the same thing, applies with me is when I go to these different things, whether it be the PGA merchandising show or something like that, the idea is to gather information and share and exchange that information with your fellow professionals. And that's one of the things that I try to do with this show, in having guests like yourself from various different areas of the industry, because it's not all about just, and I've said this probably 1,000 times over the last several years, but, it's not all about just teaching people how to, fix their slice or to hit the ball a little bit further. It's about to get more enjoyment out of the game, and also to be able to last longer playing the game. I mean, even though, golf is a game that we can play well into our later years, if you're not keeping yourself healthy and you're not looking after yourself, when those years, when you hit retirement age, you're not going to be in good shape or health to be able to get out and enjoy that. And golf is a great social game as well, as you mentioned earlier. It's great and that's important for us as humans to be socially connected with one another. And golf is a great way to do that. And yeah, it can be frustrating at times, but if you take the steps, physically that we talked about here tonight, and then also connect with a good instructor, then you can get a lot of enjoyment out of the game. And it literally is a game of a lifetime. And that's why it's important that we keep exchanging this information and sharing it with the listeners out there, both on this show and other avenues that are available to the viewing and listening audience, if you will. So let's wrap let's wrap the evening up then. Just a few bullet points. As I mentioned to you before we went live, we've got in certain areas of the country, particularly the Northeast and Northwest, and obviously up through into Canada and other parts. We're hunkering down. I'm not, obviously, because I'm in Florida, but we're hunkering down for a little bit of a winter retreat, if you will, in some cases. Some have already done it, and some are gearing up to do it. But that doesn't mean that your golfing life suddenly comes to a halt. There's obviously opportunities. There are indoor facilities that you can go and continue on. But if there isn't, give us just a few brushstrokes, if you will, of things that they can be doing, that the listeners can be doing throughout these few months before they are able to get back out in the spring thaw, if you will, and get back out in the golf course and play some golf.
Yeah,
what are some things that they can do to help to do some of the things we talked about tonight?
Right. The first thing I would suggest, and we dedicated a whole show to this last year, would be, if you can find someone that's qualified, get screened. Go through the TPI level screen. That's going to tell you what you can and cannot do, what your strengths and weaknesses are, where you need to focus on to improve. Most amateur golfers, regardless of age, especially males over 50, need to work on flexibility, mobility, and stability. And if you don't know what those things mean, there's a way to find out. Look those terms up. Go to the TPI website. Write me. I'll put you in the right direction to at least become familiar with what those terms are and what you should be doing to change those things. Because if you don't change that, you're going to have a difficult time getting into the position for a biomechanically correct golf swing and using your body in the correct sequence. So that's the first step. You want to be able to use your body in the correct kinematic sequence, which is going to be lower body first, pushing the ground away, transferring that energy to the trunk, then the shoulder and the club. That way you're going to hit the ball a little further, and you're also going to reduce your risk of injury because you're not going to be overusing the wrong segment of your body. And with that, a daily mobility plan could be just a couple minutes a day, an active warm-up strategy for when you practice and play. And when all that's said and done, to improve performance, a functional strength and power program. And once again, if you're not familiar with what those are or what it means to have a functional strength program, you could check out the article I wrote last year on TPI called Functional Strength and Power Training for the Senior Golfer. And it'll help define those terms for you, the difference between mirror strength and functional strength that we can use in life and on the course.
Well said. Some great ideas and some great tips for the listeners out there. Now's the time. It's never too late. Doesn't matter what age you are. Maybe you put the clubs away for a few years because you weren't playing so well, and maybe you might have watched a tournament here throughout the season that sparked an interest and you want to get back out there. Well, don't just grab the clubs and drive to the golf course and get out on the first tee and just start playing. Obviously, we want to get you out in the golf course to enjoy it, but there's things that you need to do first. So if you're thinking about getting back into the game, or maybe if you're a newcomer to the game, these are some great tips in getting yourself prepared physically. Then you need to get yourself connected with a great golf teach professional in your area, and there's literally thousands across the United States to get connected with. So just do a little research, do a little homework, and connect with them and help them, reevaluate. And as you pointed out, TPI has a great screening process. You want to make sure that you get screened first before you do anything. And if there are some physical issues that you have, certainly you want to consult with your doctor and make sure that you're not getting into any sort of programs that maybe are too rigorous until he gives you the green light to go ahead. But there's a lot of great things but by getting that screening, that's certainly going to help. But Brett, great discussion tonight. I appreciate you coming on, and I think it gave the listeners a little better insight to some of the things that you do on your end. And I want to give you this opportunity to take just a moment and let the listeners know if they want to reach out, how they can get connected with you, and where they can go to get more great tips through your blog and your website.
Yeah, and so that's the main place to reach me is going to be the website, which is nygolffitnessguru.com, and on there you'll have at least, I think, 40 blogs now, and counting. I'll have three or four more to upload in the new year. So there's a lot of information, all free. You can contact me through email, phone, Facebook connection, Twitter, no longer on Instagram, but outside of that, there's no shortage of ways and methods to reach out. Also encourage people to visit the TPI website, which is my TPI. Again, lots of articles, lots of exercises. The problem, if there is one, is it's overwhelming and can be confusing if you don't have the right filter. So you could look, but I wouldn't create your own program just by looking at videos online. Not a great strategy.
No.
Have someone qualified create it for you.
Right. Well said. And that's really what I'm talking about. You want to do your research first, and you want to have questions prepared, with whoever you're dealing with, whether it be Brett or somebody else is maybe a little closer to you. You want to have questions in mind. So you can certainly do a little bit of research, visit their website, and visit Brett's website, of course, nygolffitnessguru.com. And there's lots of great contact information there if you need to reach out to him. And obviously you want to visit his blog and look at the various posts that he's put on over the last several years. There's some great information there, and some of which, of course, he shared here on Golf Talk Live, which I greatly appreciate that you've done that, Brett. But I appreciate, again, Brett, all that you do, and keep up with all the great work. And I know you've got a lot of things planned for the new year and that, and I hope you'll come back on again next season. We'll talk about that at a later point. But come on, sure, next season on some shows and do some more information as we progress into 2019, another season.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and good luck with the move, and thank you again for giving of your time.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Ted. Thanks for having me on so many times this year. I enjoy the rapport and the preparing, so it's a lot of fun. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Well, you're always welcome. You always got a home here at Golf Talk Live, and I appreciate it, Brett. Be well. Have a safe and happy holiday, and I look forward to some of the new things that you're going to be working on next season. Mm-hmm. We'll come and have you come and share some of them on the show.
Very good. Thanks, Ted. Have a good New Year. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was my very special guest and friend, Brett Cohen, golf fitness instructor, Fitness Over 50 Authority, and the founder of NY Golf Fitness Guru. If you go to nygolffitnessguru.com, as I mentioned, you can get his contact information. I strongly suggest he's up in the New York area. He will certainly be more than happy to help you any way he can. And if he can't directly help you, maybe if it's not convenient, you're not in that area, I'm sure he can certainly give you some good advice and point you in the right direction, and maybe somebody that might be a little closer to you. But he's got a lot of information on his website, so make sure you check it out and definitely read a lot of those blog posts there. He's got a wealth of information. So as I mentioned, one of the things that I wanted to do tonight, after being that this is the last show of 2018, we're not going to do any more shows until next season. I'll tell you the dates here in just a minute. But I want to take this last few moments of 2018 broadcast just to thank a few people. And first and foremost, I've got a pretty long laundry list. I didn't have everybody written down here, but I want to thank some folks. And first and foremost, I want to thank some of the great guests that I've had throughout the season. And here's just a few of them: A.J. Bonner, Peter Kessler, Alan Martin, Tim Kramer, Michael Riggs, Mitchell Crum, Ricky Potts, Meredith Kirk, Horace Brown, Also on the other show that I do, the Women of Golf, with my good friend, LPGA professional Cindy Miller. I want to thank all of the ladies, both on the LPGA and the Symetra Tour, many of the winners that came on to our Tuesday morning broadcast, the Women of Golf show. Thanks, ladies, for giving of your time. And, of course, our good friend, the media specialist, Zach Sapanik, thanks for arranging that and also coming on and sharing some updates along the way throughout the season. We look forward to extending that relationship into 2019. But thanks, guys, for doing that. Some other great guests that were on the show this season on Golf Talk Live, of course, was Dennis Jordan, who came on as well. Golf Dude in the Basement, you might recall. He had been through quite a mishap a number of years ago and suffers from, at times, of traumatic brain injury, but he's battling his way back, and now he's paying it forward with working with many of the finest in the military, trying to help some of these struggling men and women, service men and women, as they come back, and using golf as a very valuable tool to help them overcome some of the physical and mental challenges that they're dealing with now. So thank you, Dennis, for all the hard work that you're doing. Fellow Canadian Rob Bernard, thank you for joining me as well. Chris Riddell, a very close and good friend of the late Arnold Palmer. And, of course, James Kovacs, founder of golfswing.com. One of the founders, he came on, and of course, he is a principal sponsor here of the Coaches Corner panel here on Golf Talk Live. So I want to thank the folks at golfswing.com, but particularly James Kovacs, who, of course, shared some time with me here on the program. And I want to give an extra special thank you to many of the folks that have appeared not only this season, but many seasons now on the Coaches Corner panel. These ladies and gentlemen have really given a lot of their time, and as I've said so many times before, these people, not only are they out there every day working hard, diligently to help many of you out there improve your golf game, but then they come here on the Coaches Corner panel and share some of that great insight and knowledge with many of the listeners out there that tune in each and every week. And it's become a very favored segment on the show. So I'm going to thank a bunch of them here. First off, Clint Wright. Thank you, Clint, for always bringing your best, as well as Pete Buchanan. Thank you, Pete, as well. Peter Agazarian. Thanks for all of your input into the show. John Hughes, my good friend down in Orlando. John always brings his best. Another John Decker, thank you for not only being on the Coaches Corner panel, but thank you for all of the great personal chats that we've shared off air as well as on air. And he's also a top instructor at golfswing.com, and you can see his videos if you sign up there at golfswing.com, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. Bill Abrams, again, another great professional. Thank you for all of your input into the show. Another good friend, Chuck Evans. Thanks, Chuck, for all that you do in growing this game and giving back. Brian Dobby, another good friend up in the New Jersey area, has come on the show as well. And I mentioned there's a few ladies joining on the panel. Allison Kurt, great golf professional, PGA Master professional out in the California area. Jamie Leno Zimron, of course, a favorite on the show as well. Alicia Larson, another great golf professional. And Nicole Weller, of course, out in the Savannah, Georgia area. Thank you for all that you do as well. And obviously, tonight's guest, Brett Cohen, has he not only been a good guest on the show as he was tonight, but he's also been on the Coaches Corner panel as a special featured guest. So thank you as well for that. So thank you really to everyone for all that you have done, both on and off the show, but particularly giving your thoughts and input and helping all the folks out there that want to enjoy this game, not only as a beginner, but maybe as a seasoned player and always looking to improve And the best way to do that is to join me every Thursday night from 6 to 8 Central here on Golf Talk Live. But I think most, and first and foremost, I want to thank really to take this opportunity, and I know I say this at the end of every show, but I mean this sincerely, but I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the listeners worldwide for faithfully tuning into Golf Talk Live each and every week. I truly do have a great amount of pleasure and enjoyment of having a number of highly talented coaches, teach professionals, authors, and entrepreneurs, stop by, like the many men and women that I have spoken about here just a few moments ago. It's really through their participation and guest appearances that help to make Golf Talk Live a first-class show. A special thanks to some of the other sponsors and supporters of the program, Mr. Jonathan Laird from South Coast Golf Guide, Meredith Kirk from Meredith Kirk, Nikki and Tiffany Litherland, thank you for all of your help in spreading the word. Bernie Pinder from Ontic Golf, thank you, Bernie, for all of your support over the years. Sean Kelly, owner of LinkedGolfers.com, and of course, Peter Doyle from Doyle Golf Solutions over in Ireland, my good friend from over in Ireland. And I want to say a special thank you as well to my good friend, LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and Legends Tour player. Thank you, Cindy, for all of your tireless effort in being my co-host and partner on the Women of Golf show every Tuesday morning. Thank you for all that you do and your thoughts and input into the show, and being a supporter and helping that to really rise to the level it has. I couldn't think of a better person to have alongside than you on that venture. So I hope you'll continue to listen to both shows. I'll give you the times and everything and where to go. And as I said, we're going to be taking a break. This is the last show for Golf Talk Live this season. I ended on December 11th was the last show of the Women of Golf. So the Women of Golf is going to be starting up again February 5th, Tuesday, February 5th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be starting up, pardon me, with our new season. We're going to take an extended break to obviously observe the holidays and then to spend some time to gear up getting the guests and things lined up for the new season. So I hope you'll be patient and take that opportunity. And I'm going to tell you how to do that, to go back and listen to some of the previously aired shows as well. But February 5th, we'll be starting up the Women of Golf show, Cindy and I. And on February 7th, I'll be starting Golf Talk Live. We'll be coming back on air again as well as after an extended break. So I hope you'll join me back then. So in the meantime, go to blogtalkradio.com and you can type in Women of Golf, or you can type in Golf Talk Live. Women of Golf is the Tuesday morning show from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Golf Talk Live is Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Central or 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. So go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf. If you want to catch some of the archives or on-demand shows, you can go to that link at any time. Scroll down to the on-demand section. All of the previously aired shows, not only for this season, but all the previous seasons as well. And again, also go to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live to see, listen to all of the previously aired segments and broadcasts for all of the previous seasons, including tonight's show as well on the on-demand section. Some other great ways, as well as I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, is to go to iTunes.com, Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and TalkStreamLive.com. And another great way that I wanted to add, and I said I would do this at the beginning of the show, that I would touch on this at the end, is if you go to CastBox. This is another great way that you can tune in as well. If you go to CastBox, both shows, Women of Golf and Golf Talk Live, are there. Again, you just type it in the search key. And the great thing with CastBox is if you've got Bluetooth capability in your vehicle, you can actually download the CastBox app. It's free. And you can actually subscribe, again, it's free, to both of the shows. And you can actually listen through both shows through your car stereo or a Bluetooth speaker. If you don't have the ability in your car, you just connect it through your iPhone or your Android phone, and you can listen to both shows there. So CastBox.com, and again, just type in either Golf Talk Live or Women of Golf. So on that note, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I will see you February 5th. In 2019 for the Women of Golf show, and then subsequently February 7th of 2019 be back here on Golf Talk Live. Coach's Corner segment will start up March 7th of next season. So we're going to take a little bit of break, have a few shows early February just to sort of get my chops warmed up again, if you will. And then on March 7th, we'll begin a new season of Coach's Corner here on Golf Talk Live. So again, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody, for all of your continued support of the shows. I hope you'll continue to tune in and listen to the shows. And next year, I've got some great guests already lined up for next season. Everybody have a safe and happy holiday. God bless, and thank you for tuning in to Golf Talk Live. Good night, everyone.